to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ruben Ronde and welcome to a new A State of Trance podcast. And today we are joined in the studio by a person that's here for the third time. That's a record, I think. Giuseppe Ottaviani.
I think so, yeah. Hi.
Joined by Neil Scarborough.
How you doing, Ruben?
I first of all, I want to make sure that I pronounce your names in the right way. Scarborough. From Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It just took me 5 years to learn that.
I think I'm the person in the world that wrote your name the most out of everybody besides yourself, probably, with all the scripting. So I'm one of the few people that knows how to write your name correctly.
I know.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I really like it.
Grazie mille. So first of all, normally we dive into the history of the artists that are here in the studio. We already did that. I think one of the first podcasts that we ever did was with you. And then afterwards we did a podcast about your album back in the days, Horizons.
Correct.
Yeah. And now we are here for another special reason because you're launching another new project, OTTAGON.
Correct, yeah.
So we're like, okay, let's do another alias, another project, because otherwise you get bored, that's just how it is.
I can't just do the same thing over and over again. I'm always looking for some new challenge, and the OTTAGON project is a big challenge.
Definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Luckily.
So let's start at the beginning. So what inspired you to build this immersive 8 synth setup? Because that's what OTTAGON basically is. How did it come alive?
Yeah. Well,
the concept first.
The concept first is this, right? Through the pandemic, I've been, like everybody else, stuck in the studio. So I wanted to stay relevant in social media, even though I was not playing shows outside. So I said, let's keep, posting videos of me working in the studio, playing with my keyboard. So and then my videos started to go viral with millions of views. And I say,
you were playing live melodies.
Melodies on my keyboards. And I just thought, people really like to see me play something. And because I started my, DJ career, which is USB sticks, I was also missing the live action. And I was talking to Neil and say, look, we need to bring the live act back.
Yeah.
But, if we do it, has to be bigger than that. Yeah. So why don't we bring all the keyboards from my studio on stage? So that was the initial idea. Yeah. And then logistically, it was quite impossible. So
because in the past you already had like a sort of a live setup, which was already, I remember this because I played quite a few shows with you and you always had to go to the venue first because you had to sound check because it was not,
like that.
Not a USB kind of thing. You had a live setup.
Yeah, always like that. It's always been a pain for me.
So, but still you're like, okay, let's go back to those times.
Yeah, but back to bigger, like back to that stuff, but bigger. So, I couldn't bring all my synthesizers on stage because it was not really possible. I just thought, okay, I'm gonna use few keyboards. In this case, 8 keyboards because I've been inspired by a design of a keyboard. I think it's called Piano Arc or something like that. It's a round shape keyboard. This is a project from 2014. I think the key player of Lady Gaga could be. I might be mistaken. It's an old story. I don't remember, but I remember the actual structure. It was a round shape, and I say, oh, okay, this is cool, but I don't have the technology to make it round. So let's make it, an octagon, which is roundish enough. Yeah. But I can do it with my knowledges and my, because I designed the setup.
Yeah.
And the first idea was to have this as a 360 setup where I stay in the middle of the dance floor and then I can, because it's all MIDI keyboards connected to my laptop, I can play the same sound, from any keyboard I want. So I was thinking about being me in the middle of the dance floor and, moving around to the people so I can play in front of all different people. Yeah. And then even here, logistically,
it was difficult to do.
It was difficult.
Yeah, because you come up with a concept and then, of course, Neil, you come in as a manager. You're like, is this doable? Or what the hell did you come up with now? Is this something that, okay, we should not do this? We should jump on this?
Well, at the time when we were thinking about OTTAGON, there was a lot of things that we thought we could do that kind of transpired to be not doable. Mm-hmm. So it was a big learning process for us at the time. But the best way to do it was have him in an 8-sided shape at the front of the stage rather than trying to do a 360, because if he was the only act that was going to do a 360, it was going to be at a big show. Yeah. All the rest of the artists then would have had to be in 360 and it just wasn't working out with promoters. And so we thought
Because
the most
promoters have to
practical
do like a proper investment also, because
Has
they
to
have
work
to
for
do
them too.
like a different state. I saw that when you did it for the first time, a Dream State. I saw that you were, I think it was a different day you were played the day after but I already saw that they created like a little podium
A riser,
in front of the
yeah.
normal stage where you had to perform.
That was the compromise.
Yeah.
So he would come out on a riser out, away from the DJ booth on his own. So, but initially we thought we'd put him in the middle, but it just didn't work out, you know.
That needs another logistic thing.
Yeah, but you know,
Another mission altogether.
but and just for 1 hour show, so it was
Exactly.
not worth on the promoter side. But you know,
It works out now.
It works now because you know, I have an tilt
Yeah.
the octagon,
Yeah,
so,
so you
towards
can
the
see
front, so people can see better now what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I love that.
Looks cool.
So-
Absolutely.
Can you walk us through the synth rig? Because you have 8 synths.
No, it's not 8 scenes. It's 8
MIDI keyboards. Okay, that's because I know a lot of people don't know pretty much the difference, but
Fine.
MIDI keyboard basically triggers whatever plugin you have connected to it.
To your computer.
So you can change that around, and it doesn't really. It's not necessarily the keys that make the sound, but it's the synthesizer that's connected, and you can switch them around.
Yeah, it's the
that's what it is.
computer. Exactly.
But still, how did you choose which MIDI keyboards or synths you were going to use?
It's a lot of programming because you know I use Ableton because that's the best software I can use for the live act.
Here.
Yeah,
Agree.
So basically, all the keyboards are connected to one computer, and I have 8 keyboards, 8 channels. I use Serum as a main plugin
For every single
sound.
Yeah.
So every
Serum is a soft plugin.
it's a soft plugin. So every keyboard triggers sounds from Serum. So in order to follow the show and change the sound on the keyboards, on Ableton I have a little program change tracks. They send the program change to Serum accordingly with the track that it's coming next.
Okay.
So you know it's
It automatically switches.
basically it's almost a pre-recorded set because of course all the tracks are lined up one after the other.
Yeah.
And so as the show goes on, also the program change and all the different sound are sent to the keyboards. And
That's something that's automatically happening.
it's happening automatically. So
Wow.
you have the line, you know,
Simple.
going through.
Simple.
It's simple to play then.
Yeah.
So you have the line going
make
through
it.
the show, and when they trigger the program change, it sends the signal to the software, and so the keyboard are playing the new sound,
Okay.
but also the new key because I don't want to forget the melodies, so I don't play different scale on the keyboards. I keep playing basically the same scale,
Yeah.
but I use a transpose to transpose the key.
Ah.
So
Okay.
you know, like if you have some, of course, people in the music, you know, some pianist or someone that knows the actual keys and the notes, they see Giuseppe's playing that, you know, that chord, the keys, but it doesn't really reflect to what I'm hearing.
So basically,
If that makes
let's
sense.
say you're playing an A note, A, but when the program goes by, it
could be a
switches
C.
to a C.
Could be a C, yeah.
And you're still playing the same.
I stay playing the same note. I just use a transpose. You know why? Because it's easier for me to remember. I don't have to think about the scale. What is next? I just need to remember the melody.
And what is your bass skill then?
The bass what?
The bass. So what is the root of everything?
Oh, the root is just
See.
the bass. Yeah, C. I think it's C minor and C
Yeah.
major.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then it just switches around in the program, but you still keep on playing the C minor,
Yeah,
C major
yeah,
chords.
yeah.
Ah,
Exactly.
that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. So, no, I think that's interesting. Why did you choose to do that? So it's because it's easier for
Because
you
it's
to.
easier for me. You know,
to stick.
whenever you play in your studio, you can do whatever you want. It's easy. But when you play in front of 10,000 people
In a noisy
in
environment,
a noisy environment, you know,
people are looking at what you're doing.
all the
Gotta try and keep it
yeah,
as simple as possible.
Yeah.
There's so much going on.
all the cameras on you. It's not that easy.
And you're wearing shoes.
Of course.
Because instead of in the studio, you're always on socks, and then
Absolutely.
suddenly
That's a
you're
big
playing-
difference.
He's got a uniform for OTTAGON.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a lot more pressure in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you just try to make it more safe for yourself. And
Absolutely.
do you? This is the side question. I didn't write this down because I remember that Rank One was doing live sets also.
Yeah.
And I feel, and I think Benno also said that this is true, that they did an accident by, you know, it's an error by accident, no on purpose, an error on purpose. so people would know that it's live.
Yeah.
Do you do that as well? That you
No,
let's play the wrong note here.
It just happens. It just happens. So, well, actually, we posted the video yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And I was fixing the audio because it sounded so bad.
There was one or two bum notes.
Yeah.
Well, but then people at least know that it's live.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's-
know, but like, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, you already said that it's a sort of a sequence that is happening, the whole show.
So the whole show is happening. What is it missing are all the melodies that
Yeah.
I'm playing from the keyboard.
Okay, so that's happening. Do you still improvise, or is it a mix of the structure and
I totally improvise. I play, I got my sounds, of course, which are pre-programmed,
yeah?
preloaded. But I can play different melodies if I want. I can play in different parts.
Yeah.
I just have I have a screen with a reference that tells me what sound to play and when to play it. So that's a kind of a reference that you can
Like
follow.
sort of a playbook. Just what's gonna happen.
It's just of course, again, you are in a live environment, so that helps you kind of reading what's going on.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I even in Poland the last weekend, I've been playing around with different things, and it's fun. It's fun.
So were there any, maybe also for you, Neil, were there any technical challenges or unexpected wins instead of the challenges during the process of building this whole setup or this show?
And not so much in the building. The building process went pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
It was more, we arrive a day early. So we're always there at the event the day before to set up and we run through it. Well, the first show was in November.
Yeah.
So we arrived a day early. We ran through the show. The only really issue that we had that we didn't legislate for is when we set up the OTTAGON stage, there was bass bins underneath the riser.
So you were standing on the bass.
So when they were going, the keyboards were, the laptops were jumping.
Yeah.
But like we just turned them off. So like, on the night there was maybe 3 less bass bins playing, but like you didn't really notice it.
On such a massive sound system, you probably don't.
We didn't think of that. It was the shipping pre-show was a big, like the shipping was like, when we decided to build OTTAGON, we never, like you said, okay, yeah, we can ship it, but we didn't really think anything of it because we were so focused on creating the show.
Yeah.
But then when OTTAGON was built, what did it weigh? 125 kilos?
It's actually 200 kilo.
There you go, 200 kilos. So like
More
we
or
had to
less.
ship 200 kilos to the US and we'd never done it before. So,
And you also, beside it being expensive, with being just afraid,
Bloody expensive.
you also
it was
have to
really expensive.
You also
So
have
that
to
was
like
a cost.
permits or import
But there
tariffs.
was custom issues and stuff that the freight company had to take care of. But like there was 3 cases, 2 of them got through, but then 1 got stopped.
Yeah.
And then 1 was stopped like some state in
10
America.
days. Yeah.
Arizona or something maybe?
Memphis.
Memphis, there you go. Stuck for 10 days. So, look at it. This was Giuseppe's idea. We posted it maybe probably about 2 or 3 weeks earlier. I was saying, we don't need to post it that early. Like, you need to practice. And Giuseppe was like, no, like we need to post it just in case there's a delay. And he was right because there was a 10-day delay.
You had a feeling already that it was going to happen.
He covers all the bases like that. I was like, more, no, you need to practice the show. He's
Yeah.
like, no, I'll practice on 2 keyboards. Like, I have 2 other ones. Let's ship the 8, so I just know they're there. So we didn't legislate for that. We didn't legislate for the cost.
I wouldn't sleep at night, to be honest.
It was pretty stressful. But thankfully, the second show that we just done in Poland last weekend went like clockwork.
Yeah.
Because we learned a lot from the first show. So the second show was amazing, and I'm hoping that the third show, when we announce it, will be even bigger. So OTTAGON's a massive learning curve for both of us.
For everybody.
But that's what's great about it too.
Yeah.
So we kind of left Poland last weekekend buzzing. So it was really, really like Dreamstay SoCal was great, and Poland was even like USA was even better. So because we've
That's
learned from the first
amazing.
one. Yeah.
But it was, it's not just a bunch of keyboards. You probably had to build like a whole rack around it also.
Everything is, it's not something you can just go to the shop and say, hey, can I have an OTTAGON, please? No, I designed this with a 3D software.
Yeah.
And then I brought the idea to the building company.
Yeah.
It's called Smith and Sons. The same company that has built the Live 3.0.
Yeah.
Remember that?
The case. Yeah.
So and they took it from there, from the idea, the design, they made it real. So they've been working on that for I think a month,
Yeah, maybe a bit longer even.
maybe a bit longer.
And it has to be like foldable or whatever. So
It has to be foldable, but also
Not too heavy.
because of the first shipping was going to the US. We couldn't use any wood. That's what they said. So it had to be plastic, thin, And because of that, the structure at the beginning wasn't that solid.
And they stand on some bass speakers.
Well, it was kind of flexible with the shape, right? So they had to do a couple of adjustments, and also we have to add more legs because the initial idea was to only have 4 legs for the actual octagon, and then we ended up with 8 just because
otherwise it was too wonky. Or
correct. So a lot of things that happened through the process that took quite some time. And in the meantime, I was making music because, when we decided to do this, it's cool. You have this new live concept, you have the keyboards, you have the this octagon shape and everything. But what is the most important thing about this?
Yeah, it's the music.
It's the music.
Yeah.
So I say, I don't want to play any of Giuseppe already existing tracks. I want to make new music. And that's why, I made 12 tracks in 5 months, I think.
Yeah, about 5 months.
Yeah.
I think it was about 9 in about 3 months. There was 3 made in the first 2 months.
Yeah.
That was a bit panicky. We had the show announced and all booked, and the music wasn't even made.
So you have
3 months before, 9 tunes.
Very much of a deadline.
Yeah. But I was expecting the show to happen in 2025. And then he came back to me. It was like, no, it's going to be November.
He said, but listen, we have
Dream
a
State
Dream State.
SoCal. Yeah, it was a perfect platform. It was the perfect show to launch it.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that, man. So now we get to maybe we get back to the technical stuff a little bit later, but now onto the performance. Does having this fortress of synths around you, does it affect on the way that you express your music or perform your music instead of
is enhancing
being just a
I think
it's not being just a DJ? Is it like is it different to the crowd, or for example? Or?
Well, okay, to the crowd, you definitely have less interaction with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really
because you're so focused.
But at the same time, they look at you just like you look at watch a concert maybe.
Yeah. Or
something. It's not the DJ interaction type of things that we're looking for that, but it's still communication because it's great when you look at the crowd, they look at you, you play something, they see that you play something and they hear it. So that's a different connection, but there is connection.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
No,
okay. So because you know that you're doing this setup, you're going to be there performing it on 8 synths. Did it change the way that you were making the music already? That you had to keep in mind I need to perform this live, so I have to do it differently than anything else in the past?
This is the main point, I think. Yeah, this is also what I told him because we were discussing, okay, what am I going to play? And I said, look, Neil, it has to be simple melodies, has to be simple stuff, something that I can play live with no issue. This is also why the BPM it's down to 130. Mm-hmm. Once I have adjust the BPM, once I have adjust the more simple melodies, this new sound came out.
Yeah.
So that right now it's pretty much like a bridge between the melodic techno and trance, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like melodic techno 2.0.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, actually,
who knows?
Some techno beats, but definitely very melodic.
Yeah, I have a lot more questions about the styles and stuff in just a little bit. I just want to wrap up the whole.
But
the whole OTTAGON things.
Sure.
I just want to ask Neil about this also. So while everything was being set up, you were doing the sound check in November for Dream State. You were probably looking at Giuseppe. Okay, now you're doing this. Were there any moments in there that you were like, okay, I'm getting really nervous for this, or hey, this is something very special, or please God, let this go through the way that we planned it? Did you have like second thoughts or certain?
I was thinking all three. Like I'm always more nervous than Giuseppe at the shows. Like he takes it on the stride. I am a bit more nervous, but I always try to soak up the experience and enjoy it. Like I always feel really lucky to be involved in these type of projects. So when you're launching them, it's always really special. But there's always so much going on that you've laser focused, but you are trying to take it all in. I do have nerves, and then especially when it's the first show, you are hoping that nothing goes wrong. Like,
did you manage to enjoy the show? Honestly,
looking back, no, not at the time. It's really, really nerve wracking. But when you look back on it, you say, "Oh, that was really enjoyable."
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But what we didn't legislate for in SoCal, when we'd set up OTTAGON on the night when it got dark, because the Queen Mary venue is right beside the sea, there was condensation like, you know, the humidity. So all the keyboards got soaking wet.
Oh, wow.
Like, I mean, soaking wet. And like, that's when I was really nervous. And I'm wiping them with towels. And so the
things people don't hear.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
OTTAGON is pushed to the side, right? The whole event is going on.
We were expecting a shutdown any moment.
I kept on saying it. I said, I have a feeling that these are going to cut off. Because we'd set it up and then we'd no covers for them. So we were putting towels over them. So the show was on for about 4 hours. So like we'd 4 hours of humidity and all water going into the keyboards. So before we went on, you know, we'd done all the clean. And I was like, like, you know, so I'm standing in front of the house and I'm just saying to myself, this is going to go any minute. Like I just look at the amount of water. And then if you look at the videos, when the close-ups of Giuseppe playing the keyboard, you can see the water on the keys.
Water drops on the keys.
You can see the water on the keys. So that was something that we didn't legislate for at all. So I was really nervous that was happening. And then when we got OTTAGON back home, I said, you need to test that. Because I'm telling you, those keyboards aren't going to work. The amount of water that got in them. Funny enough, all 8 keyboards work perfectly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So shout out to the manufacturers.
Shout out to Novation. They are the official partners of OTTAGON. So they gave us the keyboards. So
wow. And how did you experience that? Because, you know, because it's out of your control. Anything of this show, as soon as he hits play, it's out of your control. Then it goes to you.
Yeah, well, I don't really get nervous. I'm always like, I always have a plan B and plan C for whatever I do. But I'm one of those, I don't know, how do you call it, like adrenaline guy that looking for something more complicated. Like, you know, I know that
You need to challenge yourself.
I know that technically it can go very badly wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. What I like is that, you know, you go through this and then say, nothing happens. So yeah, we did it.
Yay.
But no, I wasn't really nervous, even because I planned a backup also. And I think, no, I was okay.
I'm always amazed at how not nervous he is. Like, you know, he takes it on the stride. Because over the years, we've kind of like walked into some shows and like they're technical nightmares, but no, you know, he gets through it. So
I think it was with you also once that I think it was EDC Vegas. I played before you. You were setting up your laptop and I already saw that it was like overheating everything.
Yes.
I think you plugged it into your phone, didn't you?
In that case, I had 2 laptops. One shut down. The second one was almost frozen because I couldn't move the mouse, but still carry on with the show and playing. And then when I saw that the second one was about to shut down, I plugged it in my phone and I had just a random set there.
So just in case.
Just in case, you know, I was maybe halfway of the show, so I went halfway of my set, my phone, ready to go. So my phone was there on the desk. You know, if the second laptop shuts down. But look, that was a very particular moment where, you know,
doesn't happen all the time.
That week, if you see the video of that weekend in Vegas, every single DJ using a laptop,
it was the heat.
Could they carry on?
Yeah.
No one single.
Wow. The things that this is the funny things, because if you were in the crowd, even at Dream State, because
you wouldn't know.
No, of course not.
You wouldn't know anything.
Sometimes that's the beauty of it, though. Like it looks amazing, but behind it's chaos.
And as a stress manager. Amazing. So what has been the weirdest or the funniest thing that you had so far with the OTTAGON?
I don't know if we've had any weird stuff.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, yeah.
Not yet.
It was the shipping. It was when, like, the funniest, weirdest thing is when we found out the weight. We were like, it's 200 kilos. We have to send this. So like, we didn't expect the cost of the shipping or what went into it. You know? So that was a bit weird at the time. And then when we had the problem, we were like, why didn't we think of this? Like, why didn't we think of how much it's going to weigh before we kind of think it? We underestimated it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were like, okay, there goes my feet. There it goes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my God. Well, sometimes you have to do something special, and
it was worth the investment.
Invest into certain things.
I mean, we also made the new visuals for the show.
Yeah, that was the next question for me. Is that so for the first show, I guess then you did what you did in November, and then you already know the next dot on the horizon. It's going to be April in Poland for Dream State. Did you make any adjustments? Like, for example, different visuals, different songs, different whatever?
No, I think
what was the improvement there?
The musically, it was exactly the same show, same songs, same order, because that was the show. You know, you have one show in the States, one in Europe.
Yeah.
Next show will be different, of course. For the visuals, Neil took care of matching every single visual with the actual song, because we use the visuals for the releases.
The releases. That's like visually the difference was in the second show that the visuals that we used for the artwork of the OTTAGON releases were playing at the same time as the tunes.
Okay.
In the first one, they were just more alternating at different times. So yeah, same visuals but a different look.
Is that something, because normally that's a thing that people like DJs use, is show control, for example, but you're not triggering the same because you're not using the CDJs.
No, exactly.
So how do you make? Are you sitting in front of the house?
Literally there with
manually.
I'm just there with the VJ saying, okay, at this one, like, I'd obviously send him a brief beforehand, but I'm there and then okay, we'll just make sure that this visual is going to play then, and then just making sure that the lighting guy is matching the lights with the visuals like this.
And do you also sit there with the button for the CO2s and stuff like that?
No, not this time. We need to sort that out for next time.
I think the only thing that made him kind of nervous was the beginning, the start, because there was one guy starting my laptops. I wasn't there. I was in backstage.
Someone else was starting the set.
Someone else starting the laptop means starting the set, and he was in the VJ booth.
Yeah,
so
starting the visual.
It's a radio start where it was actually one of my family members, Liam, was on stage. He only came to look at the show, but I said, so since you're here now, I have an important job for you.
Very important.
So he had to have a radio mic on the stage, and it's like, it's 1, 2, 3,
go.
Press. And he presses the 2 keyboards, but at the same time, I'm down to the visual guy, 1, 2, 3, press, and he presses the visuals.
Yeah.
So they just start at the same time. But actually, on the second show, it was slightly off, so he had to just slow it up a second.
Oh.
But it was fine. It was like 2 seconds up.
Yeah. Did you notice that, or do you see? No, you don't see that. Of course,
I don't see it.
You will on the live set. If you look carefully enough and you're counting the time, you'll see like the first 3 flashes of the visual are not in sync. But that's the beauty of doing live shows. Not everything's perfect,
I mean, there is technically there is a way to sync my laptop with the visuals.
If you would trigger it from your laptop, for example.
No. You can do it via
like time
Ethernet,
code.
Time code, MIDI sync, MIDI clock. But it was just a little bit too much. I was asking too much from my laptop. All the ports were already connected. All the USB ports to connect. I didn't want to, go extreme on the CPU or anything like that. So we just went old school manually. 3, 2, 1, go.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And then, like I said, if there's a little mistake in there, it's fine also.
Totally fine.
And the thing is, people don't really see it anyway.
Yeah. But we try to keep things as simple as possible and obviously as cost effective as possible.
That's why you build OTTAGON. You try
I send a 200 kilo free over to America.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, I forgot to say that.
Okay, no, definitely not. So now you have the spaceship that you created, and like I said, it's very costly to do this all around the world.
Yeah,
isn't it a bit of a shame that you only built this for 3 moments, maybe 4, or is it you like to branch it down a little bit more?
We'll do more. The plan is to do 8 shows.
Okay,
but when those 8 shows will be, we're just not 100% sure.
Okay,
like we've done 2 shows now where the show's been the same musically. We'll probably go to like another continent and do the same show again.
But there's only 5 continents. So.
Well, there's 5 shows.
Yeah, see, we didn't think about this.
There's no 8 continents.
But there'll have to be more OTTAGON music over time.
Yeah,
integrate that into the show.
Yeah,
make the show visually look a bit different. But we're not looking too far ahead with OTTAGON at the moment. Like the album comes out now 2nd of May. There'll be a few, like more tunes to come, and then hopefully we're going to do another OTTAGON show by the end of the year, and then we look at 2026 towards the end of 2025.
Even because in the meantime, you can't forget Giuseppe Ottaviani.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff going on there too.
There's so much stuff that I'm working on that needs to be released, and as I said before, we got this 2 identity right now. OTTAGON goes one sound direction, while Giuseppe Ottaviani goes a wider range of music styles.
Yeah.
And I need to put out music so people kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. Now it's the right time, I guess, to start talking about music rather than the OTTAGON thing. So, I a lot of people realize that you made a sort of a switch in sound. We discussed it before. I would like for you, do you still remember what the turning point was that you realized, okay, I need to sort of change the things that I'm doing?
First of all, it's not a switch. It's a transition.
Yeah.
It's an evolution. I mean, I don't see my music sounding the same over the years. It would be, it would be impossible to carry on with the same sound artistically, because that would be, it will make me dead, basically.
Yeah.
So I can't carry on with the same thing over and over and over again. I need to move around, evolve. It's not that I'm switching to hard style or whatever, but of course, I'm integrating different type of pieces of all the music that I like. Basically, the turning point. Oh, is it me?
The telephone.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought it was me.
It's fine.
Was it on? That's okay. Sorry.
That's fine.
No, the turning point basically was the pandemic, when we all stayed home. I had much more time to listen to other music, because when I'm working, I'm always working into my kind of zone, and then there is not much for me to listen apart from that, because once I stop working, I don't want to hear music. So, through the pandemic, a lot of free time, I've been listening to a lot of different artists. I fell in love with a lot of new music. And so I try to, embrace also this different type of music.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that also people kind of accepting this. Everyone went a little bit more, open-minded.
Yeah.
Right. Before it was like, okay, you have your sound, that's it. Follow that sound. All different sectors. Right now there is all genre blending together.
It's a big melting pot. Yeah.
Honestly, it's beautiful, because you can do your set and make your set as a DJ way more interesting than before, because you can jump around different type of sound and you can give different vibes. You can go up and down, make a journey.
So when you were doing this, was it like a natural move, or did you have to unlearn some things that you were doing in the past?
It's not that I've done the move overnight. It was just step by step.
Natural.
I started with my Horizons album.
I was so happy that you did that.
Yeah.
That was the catalyst for it all.
So good.
Yeah, possibly. And after that, I was not sure how my fan will react. So they loved it. So that gave me confidence in exploring even more.
Yeah.
And that's how it took me 5 years basically to reach the point of what I'm playing right now.
Yeah, and you're still changing.
And I'm still changing.
Still evolving.
Absolutely, it's still changing, still evolving, and I can tell all my fans right now I'm not stopping.
No. Don't want to sing.
What I'm playing now, it probably won't be the same thing I'm gonna play next year or the year after that.
But maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lot of time that you would stick to the same kind of sound.
That's why exactly.
So you had to
that's why I said before the pandemic, it was different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was up until Evolver. Evolver, Giuseppe, that was like, the lane you were constantly in all your career.
Correct.
But the beauty of it is, it's since Giuseppe has started diversifying, he's become more successful.
100%.
Like the Horizons album was the most consumed album on the DSPs, the digital service portals. So that kind of gave us the confidence to say, okay, well, this is working. People are embracing it, and so
but it was
gone on.
Before it was also working as well.
It was working.
Not as it is right now. So that's why I'm saying is that you could have stayed in that lane and would have gone on for, I don't know, God knows how long.
It was the pandemic though. Giuseppe didn't want to make music that he couldn't play in clubs. And it was at the time, we were listening to a lot of Camel Fat, Artbat, Ben Bomer.
Oh yeah, I fell in love with Ben Bomer music.
So good.
Yeah,
so
it was just that set in the air balloons.
Yeah,
and some of the music on that, it blew our mind. And we were listening to that going, listen to how melodic that is.
It's more trance than the trance that was being put out.
To us. So we're like, we can try and we were just really feeling it. So we just not that we were trying to make stuff that they were making, but you just slowed it down. But if you listen to Horizons, it's still super melodic.
It is.
It's just, the melodies are not Evolver melodies, but they are trance melodies. Even the stuff he makes. So you listen to the OTTAGON stuff.
Yeah.
There's trance plucks. Giuseppe's been making trance plucks since the early 2000s.
So as a manager, how do you decide what's going on as well? Or do you agree on things? Do you fight over things? Or is it like an ongoing discussion? You should do this, or maybe you should do that, or...
It's always an ongoing discussion. We're always talking about new things and new ideas. But for me as a manager, I always like the artist to have like to know where they want to go first of all. So like if they believe that what they're doing is right, you know, like I'll always support it. But one thing that you have to be to an artist is honest. Like just because they have like an idea and they think it's amazing, if you don't think it's amazing, like you have to say it. Don't just go, you know. So would there be arguments? No, but there would be creative disagreements about stuff, you know. So
and of course we'll talk about the fans because you know they respond in a certain way, but there's also the industry, you know. So I can imagine that you would make music and you have to go to labels, and this is the direction that we're going to. Did you expect any backlash, or were you like, okay, this is so good, no one's gonna say anything about it?
No, we did.
So not from a fan's perspective, but from a business side of things.
Yeah, we did. We kind of felt like if we move kind of too much out of like the trance box, will we still get the shows? That was kind of why we made sure that we didn't move over too quickly. Like, you know, we're 5 years with this plan, and we still feel we're still diversifying, but like he's essentially is still playing all the trance shows. So like, you know, the stuff that he's doing now, it's still catering for the trance market.
Yeah.
So,
but in the meantime, you're also doing main stage sets in Medusa, for example.
Don't do Medusa Festival,
for example. So that's something that you would not be doing if you didn't make that.
That's correct.
Switch in what you're
But
doing.
there's been a lot more opportunities that have come about now because of the change in music. But like Giuseppe's main audience is trance, so like he has still been catering for the trance audience for the last 5 years. But as he said, they have accepted it.
Yeah, but also again, I mean, I might change, you know, the sound of my songs, but melody is still the same. It's still the same. The most important part. So the essence is there. It's like, you know, it's still me with a different dress, basically. Yeah. Pretty much.
Different dress. I love that. You know, the approach of this conversation is a positive way. So I'm not saying that anything negative is happening, because I know, you know, there could be a certain amount of fear or uncertainty when you do these kind of decisions. And when you see that it turns out the way it does, I'm super proud to see you, both of you, rocking in how you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Because I remember that for the Horizons, that you were maybe a little bit nervous to see what people were thinking about it, but you know, and said, "Wow, there's no need to be nervous. This is effing quality," you know. So
I think as long as you put out quality music, it doesn't really matter.
No.
You know, the genre that falls in.
Yeah.
Do you feel? We discussed this off microphone as well. Do you feel that by doing this, you also cater a new generation that's coming up? Because, you know, the problem is, like, you see that the audience of the events that you were playing is getting older and older and older. And is that also, do you feel like you're connecting with a different generation than the one you did before?
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, the goal for me was not to lose my fan base for a new one, but just to keep my fan base, enjoying what I'm doing, but then get more. So of course you see my my shows getting very mixed right now. A good example is 2 weeks ago in Calgary, Canada. Like previous years, 2 years, I think 2-3 years ago when I played there, it was a kind of a more older crowd, and the last event was double the numbers. And of course, my older fans, but a lot of new people, very young people there, which, you know, that
they know that you're doing something good.
You know, it shows that the new model is working.
Yeah. You reach so much more people, I guess.
Definitely.
Is that are you starting to work with other promoters then also, or is it just, you know, or is it still the same people that you work with?
Well, no,
or are you looking for a manager for different markets to explore as well?
Always looking for different markets to explore, but year on year, there's always been new business coming in. We were actually going through some figures there over the last couple of weeks, and Giuseppe with his shows at the moment this year is ahead of previous years, and a lot of that is new business from the transition in sound, but still keeping all the big trance events. Like Giuseppe, he's on all the EDCs, he's on the Dream States, you know, he's on A State of Trance. But now we are definitely getting opportunities in other markets that we wouldn't have had before, which is all part of growing.
Yeah.
You know, like we need to be playing new markets. We need to be playing new audiences. So long may it continue.
So how do you deal as a manager with the sounds that are changing, and you know, social media is becoming more and more important? Do you make like plans catering those kind of things, you know, like, okay, we need to do this now. I know that Giuseppe is, you know, I've been on tour with him a lot, so I know he's filming all the fucking time.
He's really good with content.
He does it all the time. So is that something that you steer into yourself as well? That you say to other artists that you have to follow this or this thing, otherwise it's not going to work?
I always tell artists that social media is really, really important, but you have to do something that you're comfortable with. Like, don't just do something because someone else is doing it, because if you just do that and you're not into it, that's going to resonate on camera. So for social media, you have to find something that you're really comfortable at to show the world.
Yeah.
And if you're endearing or they like you, It's like, it's a personality thing sometimes. So like, you use social media to get your personality across. Giuseppe, I think, does that very, very well. We sometimes look at other people and see what they're doing, but like, we don't copy them. I kind of use that as a positive thing. Say, oh, look at that. Like, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
We try and do something not similar, but like, you know, we're taking inspiration from all the cool stuff that people are doing. We're not looking at it and going, oh, you know, look at that. Look what they're doing. That's all they're doing. That's their career. No, if someone's doing something really cool on social media and they're standing out, okay, that's working.
That's amazing.
Take that as a positive.
So does it mean that you do a lot of research yourself all the time?
Not myself. I think just like a normal people, you know, looking around, just crawling around, just like everybody else. But sometimes you find something very interesting. You know, it may inspires you to do something else that you didn't think about before.
Yeah.
Giuseppe does what he's good at on social media. Like, he shows people his talent, he shows people his technical abilities, and he shows people his personality.
And the travels.
And the travel, but that's part of the personality, I would think. Just show people what you're doing. Like, you know,
I always love watching your socials, to be honest. It's always fun to get like a peek behind the scenes, what's happening. And
it's him though. Like, what you see is what you get. Like, if I thought he was doing something where it's not him, I'd say, man, don't do it. Like, you know, he comes across as himself, which for me, social media is the most important thing, because people want to see the person you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I'm not forcing this. Like, you know, a lot of time, you know, I'm out on tour and you won't see a single story or anything just because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know?
Which is fine. I'm like a normal person. Like, I don't need to say, oh, I need to post something now. I need to show people what I'm doing, because I'm just going to sleep.
Yeah, because but I guess, you know, I've seen also managers like pushing artists to always keep on posting, even if you're that tired. And I think that puts people into like a
but then it becomes
burnout situation, or, you know,
then it becomes tiring and annoying, and then you're gonna hate that.
I don't feel you should be making an artist do anything that they don't want to do. Because then they'll just become uncomfortable. Then they just become unhappy. Like, they have to want to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But you know, if you don't do it, it mightn't be the right thing to do, but you can't make them do it.
That's very true. I think, that's maybe the darker side of the industry, that people are being pushed into doing.
Yeah.
I mean, the best example is with Avicii, of course, that he was being pushed into doing things that he didn't like to do or didn't want to do, and still.
Yeah.
Like, you know, DJs, like, you know, they look great and it looks like they're having this dream life and a great life, but like, they're just normal human beings with their demons and their battles like everybody else. You know, so they are normal people. So, you know, they're not superhuman. Sometimes they don't want to be on camera or doing all this. So if you're, it's hard enough traveling around the world. People think it's great, but like, you know, you go on a plane, you know, every single weekend for 45 weeks of the year. It has its toll on you. So if you don't want to go on social media and do something, you don't have to do it.
And not everybody's flying business class, people.
No.
That's another story.
That's very true. Now, okay, a little bit of a devil's advocate here. Now that you see that broadening your horizons is giving you the success and exposure that you're getting right now, did you kind of wish that you maybe did in 2015 instead of 2020, 21?
No, because I strongly believe that everything happens at the right time when things are ready to happen. I don't think I was ready before 2020. I mean, as an example, in 2018, if you were telling me, hey, Giuseppe, you should come out with some sort of a Horizon tune, I would say, shut up.
Are you crazy?
What are you talking about? I don't like that. You know, everything happens in the right moment. So, it just goes in a very natural way. And I can't say it's the right moment. It's just happening now. Even if it's not the right moment, it's still happening.
Yeah. So, do you have anything to add to that as well?
No, I think it kind of sums it up. We try not to think too much about what we're doing, you know, like, we want to make sure that we're enjoying it. There's always just loads of ideas. He's constantly making music. So as I said before, we're always inspired by the stuff that's around us. So we're always just using that to create. There's a lot of ideas that we think up that don't work. There's some ideas that we think up that do work. Once we just have the ideas and we're trying them, that's our kind of model, and that just keeps us moving forward.
What is the worst idea that he ever gave you? That you were like, okay, no.
Can I say this?
Go for it.
It was during the pandemic. I've told a few of my friends this story. It was during the pandemic, and remember all the video sets from all the locations was the big thing. And Giuseppe found this amazing Italian castle to do the video sets on. And he comes back and he says, "Oh, I found the location. Oh, it's great." And I'm like, "Lovely." He goes, "Oh, there's just one thing." I said, "Well, oh, the guy that signs this off, the guy in the council, has a friend that has a gym. And he wants people in exercise bikes behind me cycling when I'm playing." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like,
Why?
"That's an Italian thing. Like, he's told me I can use the castle. So now I've got to, help his friend out." And I was like, "There's no way you're doing that. Go back and tell him that you can't do it." I don't speak Italian, so I can't tell him. So Giuseppe had to go back and tell him, "No, sorry, my manager says you can't do it."
How did you explain that? You were like, "Okay, I'm down, but sorry, my manager says no."
No, I just my management thing is not gonna look great. So I mean, maybe we can do it in a different location, different way, or something. But look, honestly,
that was the worst idea. I don't think I've ever told him that.
No, I know, but I did well in a way. But I didn't really think much about that. Every content during the pandemic was a good content because you couldn't really move freely whatever you wanted. For example, right? I wanted to film. We made a masterclass. We made the masterclass happening, but because no one could come to my place filming, I had to learn and use the cameras and film myself and editing all the videos myself. So there was like me and Neil building this masterclass together. Remember all the subtitles? What a nightmare!
Took us about 3 months.
Now you have AI for that, just like
I know.
Now, yeah.
No, yeah.
I had to go through them all individually and listen to every video. What was it, like 19 hours of video, and I had to do it like 3 times.
Oh, you had all the time in the world anyway.
We did, yeah.
Exactly.
Especially, I've heard the podcast that you did with Brian. You had a lot of time over there for a lot of time.
Yeah, we won't go there.
We won't go there. That was a different situation. I have a couple of more questions actually from the fans. Julia wants to know, where and when can we expect OTTAGON shows in Europe this year after Poland? Well, you don't know, or
no,
are you kind of
2026
working on something?
Europe? It'll be 2026 again. We've done Europe. So.
Now, this is always a hard question. What is your favorite OTTAGON track and why? This is a question by Yuri Sanan.
We have different favorites. I think yours is Without You, isn't it?
Oh, well, no. My favorite's Lake Silver Dust.
Oh, is it Dust?
Yeah,
okay.
it is Dust.
I was convinced it was Without You. I don't know. My favorite one, probably.
Which are you most proud of, maybe? Production-wise.
Production-wise, I really love Without You. That track actually was supposed to be the intro track because the way it's been designed, it was me going on stage and playing this big lead, exactly, and that would be the main visual thing.
Like here we are,
yeah. And then we got these amazing vocals and that turn the track upside down from being an intro track to being a perfect.
No, but we had a
closing.
vocal and we couldn't get it.
No, yeah, we had a vocal.
That was a real intro vocal.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like it was a vocal to start the show.
Sure.
And then we got the Without You vocal.
That's correct.
And this is a closing vocal now.
Yeah.
So that tune went to the closer instead of the opener.
I can see it being a closing track because you also close to hear your mix with it, of course. And I see it on dance floors, people just holding each
Such
other.
a moment.
Yeah.
It's like
Look, especially in Los Angeles. Remember that? The last track, fireworks going off.
It was unreal.
People were just...
It's a real moment. It's a real moment.
Real goosebumps moment.
That's amazing. Pris, for you, wants to know what has been the inspiration behind the OTTAGON in the studio. Well, you kind of answered that already, that you were pretty much... Let me bend this question. So when you were making the tracks, the 12 tracks for the OTTAGON show, did you have, because you just mentioned you had an opening track or closing track, was it like, okay, this is the set, I'm gonna build this piece here,
Yeah.
and then I'm in the studio, I'm gonna build this piece there.
Correct.
Did you do it like that?
Yes, exactly like that. I didn't think about the releases or the album at all.
You thought about the live set.
The
that's
music was the live set for me,
Yeah.
and that was it. So the running order of the track, it was one after the next, after the other one. So
Yeah.
I was making this track, and I said, okay, well, I can do now next, thinking about, the positioning of the track through
So
the set.
you're like, okay, I need this kind of
Something
things in
more
my set.
techy, something more melodic, something to to break down and calm down people a little bit, and then something more energetic to uplift people. That was a kind of a DJ mentality into the full production of the OTTAGON live set.
Were there any tracks created that you didn't use in the end? Like you just said, Neil, that there was a vocal that you...
Yeah, no, there was just that
There
vocal.
was nearly some that we couldn't use because like the vocals, we kind of had to, get agreements for them, get them signed off.
Yeah.
So like it was 2 weeks before the show, and I think there was about 3 vocal tunes that we hadn't agreed on yet. No,
More stress. More stress.
Yeah, he didn't know. He didn't notice at the time, So I'm trying to piece all this stuff together, and he's like, this tune's amazing. I can't wait to play.
Like,
and I'm saying to myself, you might be playing that one. But we got them all together in the end.
I mean, there was a Find You, right? There was a track that needed vocals so badly, but there was no time to get a writer or a singer to make it happen. So I just went to Splice. Like any other producer, and was crawling a few vocal samples, and then I found out this vocal which was it was okay-ish. I mean, it was a good with the wording, with the lyrics, but didn't really fit with the melody, and it was a female voice. So I got this vocal turned into a male sounding voice.
Yeah.
I chopped it and I changed the melody of the actual vocal using Melodyne. Producers know what is it, and that became the new lyrics, the new vocals for this track, and it
Crazy.
works so well. I mean, if you, I show him the original sample and show him the final result.
Crazy.
Day and night.
Yeah.
Don't you love
Yeah.
making music? It's the best.
Yeah.
It's
That
the
you can
best.
you
It's
can
the
just manipulate any sound, anything, and just make it into
Absolutely.
something that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's amazing. Let's see if there's. J Walt 97 wants to know what the most challenging part was of the whole new setup.
Challenging part was building and making it stable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now
Like
it's getting there.
Building something that has never been done before. Even the building company, they were like, I don't know how's this gonna be. Like, especially when I told them, because they didn't realize it, as I said before, they didn't realize I had to ship this to the US, so they couldn't use any wood.
It's good that you checked it on beforehand. Otherwise, it would have been.
It was a little bit casual.
Yeah.
We just had a conversation and I told them, and they were like, "You're kidding, right?" Because we had all the setup with wood and everything. Yeah, guys. Yeah. If for some, I don't know what is the law or the reason behind this, but they said no.
No, there could be. I can I watched. Those. When you fly to Australia, that they check the luggage and shit like that.
But border
I
control.
think it's border control. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's why you can't do the wood, because there might be some insects,
some
whatever.
wood lice or something
So
like
they
that,
try
yeah.
to. I think everything that needs to be imported needs to be treated in a certain way. I think
Sure.
that's probably the reason behind
Yeah,
it.
no, it is. Totally.
I think the whole OTTAGON show though was challenging because there's just so much stuff that we'd never done before together that we were doing.
Because you like things easy.
Well, it's just it was a massive learning curve. Like it was the first time we'd ever had designed a visual suite for a show before. So there was so much work that went into that we'd never done before. So it was a massive learning curve. So to answer that question, it was all a challenge, wasn't it?
It was a massive teamwork. Because, what it was challenging for me probably was not challenging for him.
And shout out to Rob and Emma for their help as well, because they were heavily involved in the project too. So it wasn't just me and Giuseppe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I kept the best question as the last one.
Okay.
The Galactic Glitch wants to know, do you sometimes wish you had 8 arms like an octopus so you could do 8 things at the same time?
That's why the octopus logo. I think some friend of mine told me, you should have tentacles to play 8 keyboards at the same time. And they remember
Davy Jones from
David
Pirates
Jones.
of the Caribbean. Did you ever see that scene?
David Jones in that little scene when he's playing, on the boat, he's playing on the keyboards with the tentacles.
That's where the inspiration for the tentacles and the octopus came from.
Yeah.
You know?
Ah,
There's a method to the madness.
There's inspiration to everything.
There
guys.
is, yeah.
You should watch Pirates of the Caribbean. This is where it ends up.
Yep, exactly.
Guys, thank you so much
Thank
for
you very
being here
much.
and for the chat. There's a lot of insight, I guess, for a lot of people.
Everybody.
I heard some things that I didn't know before, so
Thanks for having us, Ruben.
appreciate that as
Pleasure.
always. See you the next time. The fourth time.
Yeah.
Fourth time with charm for a podcast.
Always
Because I
pleasure.
have way more questions, but we're already an hour on our way, so we're going to
hour.
cut it down. Thank you so much for being here
Thanks for
today,
having us.
Niels Coro and Giuseppe Ottaviani.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. See you next time for a new podcast. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal.